What's up, guys? Derek from MorePlatesMoreDates.com. Today we're going to be talking about the only time it's smart to bulk when your body composition is skinny fat or just plain fat. So, first of all, obviously, if you're a power lifter and you don't care about aesthetics or being lean whatsoever, then obviously you can justify bulking up when you're fat and just gaining muscle, even though you're holding a ton of excess fat. But that's, for the sake of this video, we're going to be talking about guys who eventually want to, be lean and aesthetically pleasing in terms of low body fat percentage. So power lifter is not really a relevant example on this exact scenario. So in terms of, let's just say you're not a power lifter and you're just skinny fat or you're just plain fat, when can you justify eating in a surplus even though in a surplus you're going to pack on more fat? So, okay, the only situation I think I've always, if you've watched my diet videos, I always advocate getting lean before bulking. Puts you in a way better place for insulin sensitivity in terms of the amount of muscle you'll put on relative to the amount of fat, in terms of your actual muscle gaining potential. Everything's better when you're leaner. But let's just say, in this scenario, if you're a beginner and you haven't really made newbie gains yet and you don't really have any muscle mass right now, you can't really justify cutting because you don't really have any muscle to show. You're just holding a bunch of fat. So let's just say you're skinny fat, or you can just call it plain fat. This is the scenario in which I think you would justify eating at maintenance or a slight calorie surplus, because these individuals who haven't yet made their newbie gains, these are the individuals who can actually burn fat and build muscle at the same time. So this kind of, scenario is not something that you can achieve once you've already, packed on your newbie gains and you have a good foundation. This is only something I would reserve for, newbies who haven't yet committed to, a strict gym program, regimen, diet, training regimen, etc., and still have those newbie gains to make. I think in that scenario where you're skinny fat, you're just starting in the gym, you want to gain muscle, but you're also, holding a lot of fat already. I mean, you don't have visible abs, but you can't really cut to, sub 10% because you don't even have any muscle to begin with. Those are the guys who would benefit from, the recomp, or like recomposition phase is what they call it, where you'd eat at maintenance or slightly above maintenance and try and actively, incorporate progressive overload and gain as much strength and muscle as possible while actively losing fat. And it's not like you're actually burning a ton of fat necessarily. What's actually occurring is you're gaining muscle at such a quick rate because you're brand new to lifting and your body is hyper responding right now, that you're gaining so much muscle that the amount of weight you're putting on of lean tissue relative to the amount of fat that's sitting on your physique, you're actually decreasing your overall body fat percentage because you have less fat relative to pounds of lean tissue now that you've gained, this newbie gain muscle. So in this situation, let's just say you're brand new to the gym, you have no idea what you should be doing. This is the individual I think would benefit from the recomp phase, eating at maintenance or a slight surplus. And by what I mean by a slight surplus is no more than 300 calories above your maintenance. So I'll link below the calculator that I prefer for, figuring out what my maintenance level is. Obviously, calculators online can only get so close, factoring your activity level, your height, weight, age, stuff like that, and gender. But at the end of the day, this is the one I feel is the closest to being very accurate, and this is what I'd use for your kind of starting assessment of where your maintenance level is. And this is where you'd want to, let's just say, if you hypothetically fall into this situation where you'd benefit from this, game plan, try and squeeze and milk as much muscle gain out of this, recomposition phase as you can. And then once you've built that foundation of muscle tissue and you've kind of like built up a metabolism, you can actually justify cutting down and burning that fat off to show the new, like the actual muscle you put on, and ideally get to sub 10% before you, embark on a full-blown bulk phase again, where you try and actively gain more muscle. So that's the approach I would take for a newbie, a guy who's skinny fat, not a guy who's, just skinny. Those guys would, benefit from bulking, obviously. But a guy who's skinny fat, that's the recomp guy. That's the guy who benefits from the recomp the most. So anyways, calculator's going to be in the video description below. Please like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.moredates.com. Subscribe there. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.